get the what were they thinking ones. The ones who try to defreeze a gas tank valve with a flame or rob a gun store. They choose to have a raging bull circle them before accidentally slipping off the small podium, ready to be tossed around like a human ragdoll. There's the just look both ways ones, and then look another 10 times. They cross roads, train tracks, tramway lines, music blaring through their earphones. Before you know it, they're flying 20 feet in the air, one half of their body laying a few feet away from the other half. I mean no disrespect to the victims. It's taught me not to take things for granted, to not assume that a brick won't come flying through the windshield of my car and kill me while my family scream around me. But there's also a part of me that is just curious. That part that constantly replays the video to see the human body transform in a way it shouldn't. I guess I'm desensitized to death. There's one last type, the one where death should not have occurred. Wrong place, wrong time. If one man hadn't taken that last step forward to smoke a cigarette, and another man hadn't lost control of his van and swerved to miss another vehicle, then cigarette guy would probably still be alive. One video I watched was like this. The video had only been uploaded for 2 hours before I watched it. I read the comments while the GIF loaded. At least the victim wouldn't know the laugh people had at their expense. I suppose it's a coping mechanism, to laugh in the face of death. Jeez, this one's a fucking mess, lads. Did you see the way that person bounced like a basketball? Ha 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 ha, I'm going to hell for laughing at this. For the first time, I didn't focus on the way the body twisted at odd angles, with insides outside and outsides, well, everywhere. I focused on the shock of the bright blonde hair, blue eyes focusing off into space, the thin lips with blood pooling through their corners. The same lips that had kissed me goodnight so many times and told me countless times how much they loved me. I stared into my mother's face, her features laid out haphazardly on her pink skin. My mother, who was currently on holiday in Spain. A young couple had stepped out into the path of an oncoming vehicle, causing the driver to swerve into pedestrians standing outside of a shop to miss them. Into my mother, who had only just walked into the frame. I could do nothing that night but keep watching. I read all the comments, funny ones, sad ones, vile ones. What could I say to them? Like others before, my mother was just another video on this site now, and I could do nothing but watch her die over and over again, while the world around her laughed. Probably the worst thing that ever happened to people all the time before modern medicine came along was being buried alive. It happened so often they used to install bells that were attached to a string that led down to the casket. If you woke up, you could just ring the bell and alert the world of the living to your peril. In theory, this is what you would do. In practice, I don't believe there's any evidence it ever worked out that way. When you wake up in a confined space with no source of light or sound, you'll be completely panicked. You'll be awoken by your own breath bouncing back off the lid of your casket, hitting you in the face. If you scream, the sound will just reverberate due to the density of the dirt packed above you and thickness of the wood. You'll feel a ringing in your ears, but nobody will hear you. Your chest will feel constricted, like you're being crushed by the weight of the earth above you. That's just the panic setting in, but also probably carbon dioxide poisoning because you wasted that little oxygen you had on screaming. Soon your breath will get shallow. You won't slip out of consciousness quickly though. The human body is designed to fight for survival at all costs. Your eyes will work meticulously to try and find anything to focus on in the pitch blackness of your surroundings. Your senses will briefly sharpen, and in those brief seconds of lucidity, you will know a horror greater than any other unworldly hell. Then the hallucinations will begin. Your oxygen-deprived brain will enter into a death spiral with a spectacular show designed to comfort you in some way. That's if you're lucky. Maybe you'll see demons or feel spiders crawling on you. Anything is possible in the last gasp of dying brain. You know what? I'm starting to ramble here. I just wanted to let you know what to expect when you wake up tomorrow. It only seems fair. Sweet dreams, my friend. I heard them getting closer. Their blood-curdling shrieks, their infectious giggles, their maniacal laughter were echoing through the now abandoned streets of Chicago. Honestly, it's sometimes hard to tell the shrieks apart from the laughter. "We know you're in there, James." Not this again. Linda was at the door, scratching at it like an animal. I could not let her in. She had been tagged. The way that she talks is different. She always uses plural pronouns. Before the power cut out, the news said something about their skin. Don't let them touch you. They had tagged my wife Linda and my son Charlie last night. "James, honey, please let us in. We know you're still in there. We haven't seen you leave yet." There it is again. The plural pronouns. Being the idiot that I am, I decided so I could get one last look at what used to be my wife. When I peeked through the looking hole, my stomach dropped. There was Linda. There was Charlie right next to her. There were the next door neighbors. They were all attached, as if they were put in a microwave on high until they were all well done. Linda's fingers had melted around Charlie's neck. Their skin looked as if it was full of pus in the place where she had tagged him. Linda's face was nearly completely covered by my neighbor's melted hand. "Don't let them touch you." The floor squeaked as I stepped away. Frenzy engulfed them. The pounding and scratching at the door left me with no time to finish packing. There was no way that door would hold under the weight of 4 bodies. I sprinted to the fire escape and started climbing out the window, just as I heard the door splinter. As I reached the end of the fire escape, the mangled bodies of my wife, son, and neighbors started fumbling down the ladder. There's no way they would catch me now. I sprinted as fast as I could, looking behind my shoulder to see where they were. How did they make it down so quickly? I was already on my way to the ground as I realized my foot had connected with the curb. As a kid, my mom always said to look where I was running. I should have listened. As I scrambled to my feet, a few chains of the melted, infected people surrounded me. Linda stepped up to me and grabbed my leg. "Tag. You're it." I've been terrified by death since I was 6. I saw my grandfather, weakened by Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, suffer an undignified death, carried away by pneumonia. That's why, when I was offered the chance at immortality, I took it. I wasn't stupid. I didn't know the limits of my blessing. Could I survive a shot to the head, regenerate all tissue, and carry on? Or would I forever remain bedbound, brain damaged, comatose? I had fun. I went skydiving, ran with the bulls, any high-risk, adrenaline-filled activity, you name it, I did it. My first niggling regret came when everyone I knew died, and I stayed on, forever 25. But new people came into my life, and I threw myself at whatever or whoever I liked. Then came the sun, giant, red, hungry. Earth died. Everyone died. I did not. Did you know that your own bodily fluids start boiling in space? You're meant to pass out before this, and death occurs within a half hour. The fluids in my eyes keep boiling. I'm always on the verge of passing out, of ending my misery. But this curse keeps me alive. Keeps me conscious. Mind-breaking, horrifying, infinite pain. Burning, ripping, tearing at my insides. Brain scrambling. So difficult to even form coherent thoughts. Oh God, please let me die. I always thought death waited for us all. But it doesn't for me. I no longer know how long we've been traveling. Since the outbreak, life has become a series of attempts to hide, punctuated by the hellish interludes of stark terror. My son takes it in his stride, of course. Being 5 years old transforms the whole experience into a grand adventure. To him, the infected are no more than characters in an elaborate game. We lost his mom some time ago. He asks where she is all the time. He asks questions incessantly, like any 5-year-old would. I have to try and shield him from the hard answers, but he still asks. She died to protect him, and although he doesn't ever say it, I know it should have been me. She reasoned that I was the problem solver, the one who would make this world a safer place for him. You see, the infected are intelligent, not the emotionless killing machines that the movies have portrayed them as. They use cunning and strategy to hunt, and she knew that I would fare better. We've now stopped at a clearing in the trees. I decided some time back that the mountains would be a safer place for him, as we managed to make it there unscathed. I only have a small amount of food left, and this area should, in theory, provide us with some. Infected meat is a surefire way to join their ranks, and whilst I live and breathe, I will spare him that fate. I've started a fire now. The boy is in his element. He loved camping before all this, and he wants to help me gather wood and make a shelter. He is a constant barrage of questions about the best way to build this, the best way to mend that. I should be proud of his resilience, but as I prepare the spit and go into my bag to retrieve what remains of his mother, I can only hope he never questions how she died. To be honest, I wasn't a fan of the speaker for the first 6 months that I had gotten it. Karen would blast her ex's obnoxious music on it all day as I toiled in the garage. I will say though, it is loud. I found myself having to scream, red-faced, at the top of my lungs to finally get her attention. The speaker is very heavy, a drawback whenever having to lug it to the beach where Karen would ogle at other guys. It is very sturdy due to the weight, however. It can fall or even take multiple hard, cracking hits, and it still plays full volume, drowning out any other loud noises or voices. Cleaning is a bit of a pain. The tiny holes in the mesh really catch gunk and dried liquid that might splash onto it. But it's waterproof, so some bleach and a bristle brush will clear it out. Hairs or other fragments stuck in the grill can be easily plucked out or washed off by scrubbing it under running hot water. The only con I can really pinpoint is that the light-colored one seems to stain, but I've ordered a black one for when the in-laws visit. I very much look forward to introducing them to your product. Overall, 4 out of 5 stars, may change it to 5 after this weekend. One person found this helpful.